You are listening to episode 258 of Game Deflators Podcast. My name is John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody here at the Game Deflators Podcast. We like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we run and hide or get sick trying in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week, Ryan and I are playing a little bit of Home Sweet Home on the PlayStation 4, a horror game that also has VR compatibilities. So we'll talk about that a little later in the episode. But of course, we can, be found on the GameDeflators.com, our currently out-of-date website. You can find us on social media at Game Deflators on X and at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook. You're also listening to a podcast app right now, so go ahead and leave us a 5-star review and listen to us on other podcast apps and leave us 5-star reviews.
The more, the merrier.
Exactly. And then the last thing is you can find us on YouTube. So if you don't really like podcast apps, find us on YouTube, leave a comment, talk to us on there, subscribe, helps out a lot. Definitely appreciate it. All right. Recent pickups. It feels like yesterday I was recording with you and Barry.
It sure does, John.
That might be because we did record yesterday. So recording in advance due to vacation timing. And as far as pickups are concerned, I mean, I could play it off and say, hey, guys, I got Mario Wonder. But the reality is that comes in tomorrow. We're recording on a Monday night. So we will play Mario Wonder on the next episode.
It will be a pickup by the time that you hear this.
Yes. Yeah, it will be a pickup. It'll be in my hands in the morning, and I'm just waiting. I will let everybody know on the next episode if I got the pack of cards that's supposed to come with it. We know how Walmart is, in not providing everything. So we'll see how that goes. Currently playing, after we recorded yesterday, I didn't play any video games, but we did play some D&D. So I guess we could talk about that a little bit.
I updated Thomas today.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What did you think of yesterday's shenanigans of a session that was scrappily put together?
You sure johned it up, didn't you?
Oh, I definitely did.
So John made a Colonel Sanders tiefling.
It was fantastic.
He had all 20. Is it 23 or is that Dr. Pepper that's 23? How many herbs and spices does he use?
11.
It's 11 herbs and spices?
But according to Ryan last night, it was 28. Yeah, it's 11 herbs and spices.
Baskin Robbins 31 KFC spices.
Yeah, exactly. It was a very interesting Colonel Sanders on a plantation with goblins situation. And I left it up to the group. I very much I'm telling you, when I planned that, it was very much open-ended. I'm like, what can I do to just have this fun, quirky session that the group is just going to enjoy and have some fun with? And so, we had you guys obviously with the giant hamster, the rabbit hamster, and I thoroughly enjoyed seeing your character dip 5 HP every turn.
Oh my God. I got down to 2 out of 2.
That was hilarious, dude. But I didn't anticipate it was going to be that bad. So I had to think off the top of my ass, how do I not kill Ryan tonight? But it was great for Joel to kind of run off, grab some random ass mushrooms and be like, here, they're mushrooms and they'll cure you. And it happened to cure you. But it was fine. It was fun to kind of have the anticipation of oh God, my character's at 2 flipping HP. And it was still hitting you at the same time with creatures. So it's not like I was letting up at any point.
I was getting brutalized.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Brutalized.
No, I don't think anybody thought a giant hamster was going to have laser beam eyes.
No.
So that was a nice little feature.
Is that just an extra thing or is that canon?
No, I don't know what the hell. No, that's got to be extra. So so I found a giant hamster set. There were several giant hamster sets. If you look in the main book, the giant hamster is very docile. There's nothing big about it. It's got 20 or 30 HP. I don't remember. It's pretty shitty stats. I was I need to have a big bad boss here. It really needs to be alien for the most part. Mm-hmm. And so, it didn't get to do the one thing I wanted to do because you guys kept saving, but it was supposed to be able to swallow one of you guys and start biting you at the same time and deal a lot of damage. So basically I found an overpowered homebrew giant hamster. And it was stupid overpowered. That laser beam I hit you for 3d8 It was supposed to be 12d8.
Yeah, that's a lot of D8s.
Yeah, that was like a deadly battle for sure. And then I threw in the rats because I was like, well, got to throw in a little wrench here. But
Of
I don't know if
course.
you noticed, but like every time you guys got close to it, how you got necrotic damage dealt to you.
Yeah.
That's because it had radioactive aura coming off of it. So you guys were actually getting hit with radioactive energy every time you went close to it.
We
So that's
thought
why
it was like stink or something, but it was just like literally space stuff.
it was literally space stuff. It was radioactive matter on its body
Interesting.
emanating off and creating, really hurting you guys, creating necrotic damage. So that was fun. And then obviously we did a whole Colonel Sanders thing. And I just love that I had that like classic, bum, 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 bum music in the background for you guys to like raid his house and kill him. It was the greatest thing. Well, no, you guys didn't. You had the goblins do it, which was pretty hilarious. But yeah, I had a good time DMing that one last night. I wish Thomas was there for it, but at the same time, it's nice because it allows us to move on to the next thing. And obviously you haven't played in one of my sessions before, or, outside of what you've done with me in Strixhaven, you haven't seen what I've done with the characters and developments. So, I like to tie in your backstories to overall campaign work as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of creates like a special moment for you guys. So last night was like Ginny's time where her character's dad and her kind of made up and she got the special weapon and things like that. So I do like to do things like that in the campaigns to just kind of help you guys develop your characters. And it's just fun, to kind of homebrew some stuff like that. So
yeah. No, I think it worked out really good for her.
Yeah. So that was that. You guys battled a giant rabid space hamster, found a spaceship, killed a Colonel Sanders tiefling who was enslaving goblins, and they destroyed everything else, took over the plantation, and then Ginny made up with her Thry-Green dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So next time we will actually be back at the University of Strixhaven and doing normal shit again. But that's what we are currently playing. So on to you, Ryan.
So for me, by the time you have listened to this podcast, I will have finished The Darkness. So I put it down as I finished The Darkness.
Wait, so you haven't actually finished as of this recording, but it will be done by the time.
Yeah, by the time people are listening to this, it will be a true statement. So I'm cheating. It's already done. Future Ryan has this in the bag. I'm trusting you, Future Ryan.
I don't know, man. Future Ryan leaves shit at my house all the time, and
Future Ryan is not here for you, John. He's here for me. You
true.
Get past Ryan. Ryan's always there for you.
Future Ryan leaves beers for Ryan in the past all the time. My fridge has had multiple beers in there.
See, that's past Ryan trying to do Future Ryan a solid.
I get you. That's where it comes into play. Which, by the way, those prickly pear beers, not a fan.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, I don't know, any kind of just basic wheat beer like that. I mean, it's all just Blue Moon to me.
Normally we should have a beer section on this podcast, but like for me, drinking wheat ales, I started with wheat ales, like that's what I predominantly drank for a long time, and then I've moved over to darker drinks essentially, and so like wheat ales to me, they don't all taste the same, but that one just doesn't have like that.
There's no pizzazz.
Yeah,
they're just very flat.
Yeah, it does taste kind of flat to me, and it's disappointing because I actually like that particular beer, or that brewery, the Grand Canyon Brewery.
Yeah.
I like their stuff, so it's kind of weird. Don't they make an IPA that you drink?
Probably. I drink many IPAs.
You do. You just drink IPAs, so yeah. Whereas I
like sours a lot now too, though.
Yeah. See, I drink stouts and what's the other one? The other dark one, porter. I think. I don't remember. I don't know.
Port's like a wine.
No, not port. Well, I do drink port actually, but I don't remember the name of that beer. It's like a darker one. You have, stouts and you got other stuff. I don't know. Somebody comment.
Beer stuff.
It's beer stuff. Yeah, just start commenting different types of beers and be like, that one, because I don't want to Google it right now. But still, I think you're cheating. Future Ryan is cheating here.
Yeah, I am. I've still been playing Backpack Battle for sure. They make updates all the time. I'm up to 20 hours.
I just like that. I didn't realize still playing Backpack Battle. You put that down as like future Ryan is going to still be playing
this is all
Backpack
future Ryan stuff. I'm getting ready to tackle Pikmin soon. That's on my horizons.
On your new horizons.
Yep. So
okay, all right.
I'll get everything wrapped up here just in time for the holidays. You know, summer. Everybody loves a good summer Halloween. Summerween, they call it.
Next week, I think we're actually getting our first cold front.
Ooh.
It's supposed to be in like the 60s, I think, for the high.
Spooky.
Yeah, just in time, right? I won't even be available when that particular day comes through.
You know, we don't have a discussion topic, so let's just keep going down this way. Jacket weather. I love jacket weather.
I do too, actually. It's that's so when people say like, do you prefer hot or cold? It's always got to be the like, I can only take off so much clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But jacket weather, you're like, oh, I'm kind of cold. All right, I'll
Cozy.
put this on. Oh,
Ooh.
I'll take this off. And it feels kind of nice. Let me put it back on. Like you're kind of, you have to be a little, I don't know, like you got to mix it up, right? Like you're going to have different types of layers and what you put on and what's going to make you feel better. Whereas like when it's hot, it's just hot and it sucks.
Yeah. I love driving with the windows down when it's cold, put the heater on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you get that little wispiness of the cold air. Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, it's the best. Actually, that's one of my favorite things to do when it gets chilly like that. It's just windows down, heater up, because you get that nice, like, warm heat feeling like hitting your face, but you got like that cold air kind of hitting the rest of your body. Oh, it's good stuff, dude.
What about you pumpkin spice guy, John?
Hell no. I don't like pumpkin spice, dude. My wife drinks it all the time.
Oh,
and I'm just like, oh, like she bought pumpkin spice creamer a while back, and I was too lazy to actually go to the grocery store and get more like better creamer. And so it was like, I don't know, just going through pumpkin spice creamer, like this is disgusting, but I need my coffee.
Oh, dude, I did pumpkin everything for me.
I did find pumpkin. Recently though, they have of course non-alcoholic. They have a non-alcoholic Kahlua creamer.
Interesting.
That was actually really good. I just finished my first bottle of that.
Pumpkin beer.
That I actually can get behind. I love
pumpkin beer. You should try the Atomic Pumpkin by Voodoo Ranger. That's really good.
It's like a pumpkin IPA.
Dude, it's killer. It's got so much flavor in it.
I'll
bring one over.
Okay, future Ryan needs to bring one over, and we'll try it out at a session. Yeah, I mean pumpkin. I can do pumpkin beers. Like I have no problem with that. But most pumpkin stuff, no. Like pumpkin pie, obviously, is like good stuff. Like that's.
I have pumpkin pie every year instead of cake for my birthday. More people should do it.
Yeah, no, you do, and it's fantastic. What's funny is like a couple weeks before your birthday, we had a session, and I was in Costco, and I saw the big pumpkin pie bag. I'm like, man, I should totally get that for Ryan's birthday for like.
You can't beat it for like what is it like $6, and it's like as big as your head.
Yeah,
it's way bigger. It's huge.
You can't even make a pumpkin pie for that price.
Yeah, not that big either.
No, dude. Like pumpkin pie, like it's easily like $10 to make. So I like how we've gone on this like random subject matter. I kind of like it.
Well, we're talking about the change of the seasons. We don't get a whole lot of visual season change down here in the Southwest. So all of you folks out there across this fine planet of ours who are at a place where the leaves change color in the autumn, enjoy it for us.
You know, I've been kind of wanting to go up north and do that, like as leaves are kind of falling, check it out. But I mean, you kind of get it here. Like my neighborhood, we have a lot of leaves that actually do change color. But it's not the same, you know, like
no, not like when you're in a place where that's what the happening is.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've done Sedona like during both times or multiple times, right? Where it's like the leaves are changing, and then I've done where there's no leaves and then the leaves are coming back up in like that drive along the creek there, and that's actually really nice. So anything else in this topic before we dive into our news?
No, I think we're good. So this week in the news, the cow level might not remain a secret much longer. AI is coming after your NPCs, and Google Play is bringing your favorite pooping pastime to the PC.
I didn't catch that in that article, but I guess we'll find out. So the first thing here is after slaying 666 cows, Diablo 4 player makes a major breakthrough in a hunt for the secret cow level. And this is Tyler Culp at PC Gamer. So
This is great. I
Yeah,
love this.
so from what I understand, there were cow levels in prior Diablo games that you could do, and you would kill cows and get there. I'm not very familiar with that, but
There's a secret cow level that's like full of murderous cows. I mean, I was never a huge Diablo person, but I know of the cow level, and I know that they've been saying there is no cow level in
I
the new one,
I
but
did
they
not
lied.
know. Yeah, I did not know this is a thing. Well, no. So here's the thing: they said that there still is not a cow level. Blizzard has denied it. And there's players finding things that are like, no, there's definitely a cow level. Like it's there, it exists. There's like a tome. There's, different relics and stuff they've picked up to be able to do this ritual to find a cow level and stuff. And nobody has found the cow level yet. They're making breakthroughs, Ryan, to find the cow level.
We're on the
And
bleeding edge of cow level science.
exactly. And so, of course, Blizzard's like, no, it's not a thing. I mean, it could be. It could be down the road. They're planning on doing this, and they're just kind of leaking this thing and creating some I was gonna make a cow joke and be like moo excitement, but that doesn't work. No, it doesn't. Well, I'll just stop that.
Excitement.
Excitement. I love it. Yes, that works. So yeah, I mean, people are trying to find this cow level. It's like Schrodinger's cow level.
See, the thing I think is that, like, because the whole saying is like there is no cow level, and then there was a cow level, like, I think they're just being tight-lipped and just being like keeping that tradition alive. Like, there's definitely stuff leading people to a cow level. They just don't know how to get there yet. So like it's real as soon as they find it. Until they find it, it's not real.
I cannot wait to see Diablo 666 cows trending at some point on social media.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm looking forward to. And then like watching the videos of a first person that breaks through and finds the cow level. But there's like a whole thread, or like, I think, is it a Discord or was it a Reddit post? I think it was a Reddit thread. But yeah, people are like, oh yeah, I found this. And like they're helping each other out to find the cow stuff. And it's pretty cool. It's a nice community of cow killers. And, PETA would have a field day with this.
Yeah, there is a good edge to this, I guess, because I was just hearing, I think yesterday from, might have been Jesse Cox, but Blizzard and Xbox probably aren't too happy with Diablo's performance right now. It came out on Steam and it's got like really low player counts, and I think it's got like a 66 or something on there. Like, it's really not doing very good.
Yeah. Well, we will see what happens, Ryan, with the cows. But on to our next article. And that is video games are in for quite a trip. How generative AI could radically reshape gaming. And this is Rebecca Kames at CNN. We very rarely do CNN articles, but I thought this one was pretty cool. And I will say, I had some fun with generative AI today, actually, for my work. Apparently, I guess I have access like Bing AI chat or something. And I was just popping in. I'm like, write me an introduction for like this subject matter. It's just like spits it all out. I'm like, that actually looks pretty good. And I struggle with like writing intros. So like it's fantastic. So I can see where something like this, and it's multiple lenses on how AI, and how it can support gaming. It comes from a perspective of, being able to create stories, right, in a very quick manner and just kind of building that out. There's ways that it's able to develop NPCs and the lines that they have. And, so it's just, there's a lot of possibilities with AI and what it's able to accomplish for the gaming space. And I think it's really ultimately going to help a lot of these like indie developers, I think, first and foremost, right? Like it's going to help the bigger corporations and kind of lining things up and getting things like at a faster pace. But I think for indie developers, this is huge because it really allows them to quickly build things out using an AI support system while focusing on the things that truly, like the bigger things that matter for the game. And I'm thinking like 1 and 2 team developers, right? Like small developers trying to get their stuff done, or even like a team of 5 that are really just trying to get that game to the next level. And rather than sitting there with like the nitty gritty story details and trying to flesh out like all of these random stories, like they give an example of, games like Fallout, where you have these random NPCs that'll take you on all these different journeys. So being able to flesh things out like that pretty easily, I think it's just going to be huge in general for gaming as a whole. So what was your perspective in listening or reading?
Yeah. I mean, they go over a lot of different things. And I mean, AI is going to touch every region of video games, sooner or later. I mean, we've obviously already talked before about how it's kind of leaning into, not so great confrontations with voice actors, and how they're trying to use AI to, just get free voice acting using other people's voice likeness and things like that. We've seen procedural generation for a long time. They obviously cite No Man's Sky because that's one of the best ones everybody loves to bring up because of just how massive it is. But there's lots of other things that they go over here too that, not everybody who thinks of AI is immediately going to jump to these, but they reference like being able to animate movement, much better, and make it more natural. So, people said that jobs would be taken away when they started doing mocap, but really it just kind of enhanced and was another better tool to bring better graphics and better believability to characters because they're actually moving and acting in the way that people do. But being able to, like, I think they said they were training some AI to replicate movement for like animals. Obviously, it's a lot harder to get an animal on like a green screen stage and put a bunch of balls on it and have it walk around and record it. Like, that's not really going to play off super well. But like, if you can get just like, I don't know, hundreds of hours of bear footage, and then you can like make some really like good looking bears that didn't take an animator, dozens and dozens of hours just for, the payoff of a bear moving around, to quickly have a repertoire of referenceable and usable animations for things, or to add slight variation. Like at the very top of this article, there's like a video of just like two knights just swinging at each other. Like, instead of like putting all the effort into making like just that one swing, AI would be able to say, okay, here's the frame timing that we need. What if we made the swings just a little bit different? Like, maybe even enough that you could still guess like what the attack that's coming at you, if it like was required. Like, I know in some games like Souls games, you need to be able to tell what's coming your way to prepare. But in other games, like, to not just see the same animation a million times and have some slight variations in there, like that can add a lot. Having, like they said, NPCs who are gesturing and animating in a way that enhances the speech that's coming across, and then be able to give them speech that's like more helpful or more, open to the AI's interpretation. Like, when you talked about like Fallout earlier, like right now you go to a NPC, they kind of stand there, they might move around a little bit. None of it is really making you believe that it's not a digital puppet. And then they do like their one quest the same way. You got to do that like slow walk follow thing. Like, an AI might be able to keep pace with you, make the story more interesting towards like how you've been approaching it, or give you more challenging or interesting dialogue based on dialogue that you've engaged with in the past. A lot of that are ways that they could really bump up those, systems.
And now taking into account the negative aspects too, right? So like, let's just say AI is not perfect, right? And what I was playing with today, for example, it spit out a bunch of content and I read it. I'm like, this is really good. But at the same time, I was like, man, there's a lot of things that need to be tweaked here.
Yeah.
Like things that don't align to my company's brand and what would need to be adjusted, right? So like at the same time, that AI creation of those visuals, like of the knight swinging swords, like it might not be perfect, right? So that's where a developer can kind of come in and say, all right, now my job is to clean this up and make it, really polish it and make it look, it's like the best it can look.
It's great for a first draft right now. AI is a very good first draft, like just to get you started. Maybe not even a first draft, maybe just like an entry point.
I mean, dude, the stuff I was looking at today, I was like, this is pretty but I put in precise. So it's pulling a lot of stuff from the web and kind of condensing it into what it believes is going to be like the best talking points, right? But
Yeah.
one of the things I know is that you always have to, in those cases, cite your sources and make sure your sources are actually correct in what they've provided and the things align. And there's a whole bunch of stuff there. But in terms of gaming, one of the things that they need to do too, though, is that as those stories are being developed by the AI, they need to make sure that things are truly aligned to the game itself, that things are not rude, they're not crude, whatever it may be. Like they have to still go back in there and modify things and adjust. But just knowing that they're able to kind of quickly pivot as needed to say, okay, cool, like I have 10 NPCs. Here's kind of what I'm thinking for the story. Let me go ahead and have it spit it out. All right, we're going to go ahead and also be designing, with AI, like the movements and how that character is going to interact. All right, now that that's all done, let's go ahead and test it out, make sure that things are actually what they need to be and make our adjustments. And so, to your point, like you said, like a first draft, I mean, yeah, it definitely is a first draft, but in some instances, it could be a second draft already done right off the bat, and now you're just tweaking.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty cool seeing how this affects the industry moving forward. I do fear some people are going to be out of a job, right? Because to your point, if you're instead of having somebody comb through bear footage and have to go ahead and like make bear movements, if AI can do that for like an animal, which isn't exactly the most critical piece of a game, now that person, is gone, right? That person that would have been focusing on animal footage and making that happen, for a game. So,
well, this is like a thing that I've said for a long time. Or I've told it to like my friend who knows stuff about game design. He like went to school and did that for a bit, but like, how many people have spent how much time making trees for video games? Like every video game, somebody's job is to make trees. Not saying that they're bad trees, not saying that people can't have a good time making trees, but there's been a lot of collective hours making trees. We all know what trees look like, what they should look like. So if you just had like a stockpile of like, here's trees, well, people don't want to do that because they want their game to look unique or whatever. But AI can say, here's a tree, here's that tree, but slightly different. And it can do that over and over again in like no time and save somebody a bunch of time making trees. Like that person who's making trees would much rather be making a better asset and doing more like meaningful work for a project on another project than being tree guy, I am sure.
Yeah, and even so, once all of that's done in your tree example, then being able to go back and say, okay, it's been created. Now let me place this where it needs to be placed because it's been developed. Let me go ahead and put the lighting where it needs to be and adjust, different aspects of that within the game. So not sitting here saying we're developers, but this is definitely a tool that developers, or if they're not using it today, are definitely going to be using things like this in the future. And I think it'll make their lives easier. Yeah, there might be some job loss, but those that do stay within the industry and are continuing development are going to find their lives to be much easier because of these tools. So
yeah, and like you were saying, like the ubiquitousness in the future for smaller studios to be able to get more done is really going to enable more games to be made. I mean, I've talked to Zach before, and I mean, he imagines this future where everybody's just playing whatever AI game they asked an AI to make for them. And I have no doubt that time will come, but a lot of what we do like about video games is being able to all have the same experience and share and talk about and understand how we all took different things from those experiences. So the more AI gets introduced into games and the more individual those experiences become, the less we'll really be able to all have and share the same experience. And that'll kind of like probably be a big evolution for games to go from the most mass appeal to the most niche appeal.
I am writing down a multi-million-dollar idea right now and just hear part of a discussion that we'll
Oh,
take
I'm full of them,
effect.
John. Like if you listen, I could make you all kinds of money if you had follow through.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to do, while I write this down, our intro for our next piece here?
Yeah. So next up, we've got Google Play Games for PC is getting support for 4K and some console game controllers. So this is from Jay Peters at The Verge, and this is Google Play. They have been testing in some beta areas Google Play for PC, and being able to play your Android supported games on PC. So games like Clash Royale that they actually cite just after the title of the article, and other things like that. You'll be able to use those with just about any modern controller, Series XS, Xbox One, DualSense, DualShock 4. All of these will be compatible with your mobile games that you can play on your PC. Don't know how many people are choosing that, but I mean, considering the fact that you can buy Resident Evil 4 for full price, or Assassin's Creed Mirage on mobile, and now Google is going to introduce being able to play those games on your PC, I guess it makes sense to have another outlet and full, controller support. This isn't everywhere yet, but it will be soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand this too much. I mean, I get the compatibility aspect. Like, if you're playing games on your phone, you maybe own a PC that can play games as well. Maybe you sit back and that's what you do. But in my mind, like, mobile gaming is mobile gaming. Like, you want a game on the go, and like that's what you do. You have certain games that you play on your phone, and that's how it goes, right? And then you have your PC games that you play on PC. I just long term, I just can't see how this is like a thing, right? Like, it's 3,000 plus. I think they said 3,000 supported games from mobile onto this like PC Google Play Store type deal. I I don't know, man. I just can't see this as like a long term viable option. Like, tons of people are going to start turning towards. Maybe I could be corrected down the road, but it just does not seem. I don't know. Seems odd, right? It doesn't seem necessary to do something like this.
I mean, it makes sense to me. Like, the PC is the place where everything eventually ends up. And it makes sense to have your phone wind up on your computer. I mean, I can't believe this isn't already a thing. Like, this has to be a thing with Apple, I'm sure, by now.
I'm not sure. I mean, I did see a comment on this article that Apple made an announcement recently about AAA games on their phone on the App Store.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some people hoping Google does the same. I mean, yeah, I guess I can see where like a merging of the two in some capacity, like being able to, my phone's charging, whatever it may be, or my phone's not with me. I'm going to play on my PC and continue my game, I guess. But at the same time, like, the reason you started playing it on your phone is because you enjoy the mobile aspect of it typically, right? Like, you're not looking to sit in front of a computer or a screen like that and play seated, right? Like, in that setting, you're kind of looking
Well,
forward
I
towards
think
playing with your phone.
I mean, there's a lot of people out there with multiple monitors and a lot of downtime. And I mean, traditionally, you would just look at your phone and play the game. But I mean, if you could just throw it up on your computer and not have to worry about like killing your battery, I mean, it depends on how much you're playing, but like, not every game is built for the long haul sit down and play with controllers. But I mean, some people
Yeah.
get down with that.
The other thing is like Google and gaming right now and their failures in the last like several years. Is this going to turn out to be kind of the same thing, right? Are they going to cut support after a while because it's just not good? And like right now they're doing betas in multiple countries, and people are testing out that market and really testing out the viability of this. Does Google do a widespread launch based on that? I guess time will tell if that's the direction they end up going. It could just end up dying in these betas, right? There's just not enough excitement towards it, and they figure, all right, we're just not going to do it. But it sounds like they are moving in that direction for a widespread launch anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, probably what I would have said, like, inevitable.
Yeah. How long it lasts after the fact, time will tell. All right. Let's dive into our inflation deflation week, and this is Home Sweet Home. I have no idea how to pronounce that developer's name, so you're going to try it, Ryan.
Yggdrasil Group.
Yggdrasil Group. Okay. I hope
Co
you.
Ltd.
And it
Publisher
was
Yggdrasil Group. Co
exactly.
Ltd.
It was directed by Sarut Tubloy, and it was released in September of 2017. It is a horror adventure game with a reception around a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I was actually earlier on, I was watching a video kind of breaking down the story. It's not a very long game. It is quite interesting. It is, well, here's a synopsis. So you play as Tim. Tim starts the game off awakened by the voice of his wife in a strange home with the spirit of a young woman who can travel through blood, wielding a box cutter and trying to kill him. As you explore around, Tim finds his way back home in search of his wife. Along the way, encountering strange creatures, monstrous spirits, and twisted locations. Following a breadcrumb trail of diary entries in search of his wife. There's a lot of stuff going on here. It is of Thai origin. The mythology and things that surround it. It's kind of like just not survival horror, because there's no like resource management. You're not like fighting back or anything, but I mean, you are trying to survive, and it is horrifying. It's like Outlast or one of those games. Like, you don't have any offensive tools. It's like hide in lockers and wait for spooky stuff to happen to you.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's even like easier with games like Outlast, because like Outlast, you have batteries, right? And you have things chasing you, and yeah, you got to still run, but you have situations where you literally enter a room and your batteries are dead, and you have nothing you can do flashlight wise or camera wise in that game. So this was very much like you have a flashlight, and you can use it or decide not to use it. There's no battery from what I noticed. And you go around, and certain things, like you can go and open a door, and when you open that door, it triggers something else to happen. Like a wall will suddenly open up and you can go in there. And then of course the wife, who is this like young spirit that can travel through blood and chases you around for Boxer. I found it very interesting that like you and I, we were playing for
She's
however
not the
long.
wife.
Well, oh yeah, here's the voice of the young woman. Yeah. So what I think was funny though is you and I, as we were playing, we had played for however long, and we kept hearing like this clicking sound. We're like, what the hell is that? Like, we know she's coming.
Oh yeah,
And then we
yeah.
noticed the box cutter, and we're like, oh, she's playing with the box cutter.
Yeah,
That's
she
kind
sounded
of
like a
odd.
clicker.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. But like, there's some freaky stuff in that game, man. Like, we finally figured out how to run, and like her chasing you initially when you're trying to figure out like the door situation. That's where you got our first instance of like, oh, I have to open up this door, which fails. So then I go to the other door, and then I hide in a locker, and then she disappears, and I see her going through a wall of blood. It was all very cool, like that aspect, and how different pieces kind of had to happen for like something else to happen. So I did kind of like that aspect of the game. And then it was just creepy as shit. Like when we were hiding in that, locker behind that shower curtain.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like you could see her walk in, and then we're just like, all right, you can turn around and go now. And then she walks up right to the shower curtain and then turns around. I'm like, well, that was a close call. But little things like that. In terms of like overall spookiness, though, when I compare it to something like Amnesia or Outlast or other games that I've played, Blair Witch Project is another one. This one to me just wasn't as scary. It felt like the creature or the young woman was slower. There wasn't like a whole bunch of like smart stuff going on with it. It's like, oh, I hid in the locker and you saw me jump in the locker, but you're not going to try and stop me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I felt in playing it. I do think there's better horror games out there. But it was still pretty creepy, and the VR, I'm sure, kind of enhanced that. I didn't play with the VR, but you were motion sick with it.
Yeah, so I've never played on the PSVR before, and I haven't done a whole lot of games where I haven't done any games where you hold a controller but are playing in VR. Just always like the dual, like whatever hand controllers come with the VR headset you're using at the time. But yeah, I was like super disoriented. It felt like the turning was like too snappy, and I just like my stomach was not feeling it.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, and I just thought about this. In the past, when I've played VR games on, or you know what, it's certain games. So like Doom, for example, you have to play with a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 controller. You can't play with the PS5 controller. This one, we
Mm,
were able to play with the PS5 controller, which I found to be kind of interesting.
yeah.
But you're right. Like I played Doom VR and I got like sick to my stomach, dude. Like I could not play that game because of that. But then there's other games I played on VR, the PlayStation VR, and they're great. Like I've gone through and I've enjoyed them. Moss was one of those. Like there were instances where I'd feel kind of queasy, um, but grand scheme of things, it was not bad. And like Ghost Giant, I think was it Ghost Giant? No, it was. I think it was Ghost Giant that I played. That one was also pretty easy and not like so sickening to play. But it's because you're actively moving your head around and doing different things, and the actual motion controls are easier to use. It's not like you said like trying to hold a control and like look left really quick. Like that to me, I think is what makes it sick. Having to constantly look around and not you actually doing it, but like a control doing it. I think
Hmm.
that's the worst part about it. So, I think for sure if you're going to play this game, don't play it in VR, um, unless you can deal with that motion sick feeling.
Yeah. Overall, I thought it was pretty spooky. Having watched something about the rest of the game, because we didn't make it, that far. We never do. But looking into where the game goes from there, there is actually quite a bit that is very interesting, I think. So
Like from a spooky perspective or just like a story perspective.
a little bit of both. It definitely looks like it's a way more interesting game that I would have thought, just from the outset. So it's definitely something that I think would be worth like playing all the way through. Um, Getting down to brass tacks and what it would cost you to play all the way through. So looking at the PS4 version here, completed box will run you $32.19. That peaked at $55 back in November 2018, and that's slightly up. We've got a loose copy going 27.30. That peaked at 43.47 back in November 2018, and that has been holding pretty steady for a while. Now, this is a game that you could get digitally pretty easily. On Xbox, it'll run you $19.99. On PlayStation, it'll run you $29.99. And on PC, on Steam, it'll run you $15.99. Now, Sony is running a deal right now where they will give you it for $8.99, and that's through November 1st. So you'll have like a day or so after the podcast to get this message and buy it on sale if you want to get it digitally for as cheap as possible.
Yeah. So, in terms of pricing of where I think this thing should be, I think $20 is a fair price for a game like this. But I mean, obviously, digital PC is $15.99 on Steam. So I think that's the way to go, right? If you're not playing it on PlayStation, definitely pick it up on Steam for that $15.99. I can't see, you know, Complete in Box is interesting for this because it is not, from my understanding, a very common game in a physical format.
Mm-hmm.
So, in basically thinking about our conversation with Barry the other day, um, if this is removed from any of these platforms, expect this game to skyrocket. Right? It's been holding its price at $32. I mean, you're talking a VR game that came out 5 years ago, and it's still holding at $32 right
Yeah.
now, and it's trending up. So, if you are a physical collector of VR games, is it worth picking up right now? $32.19? Probably. If you're just wanting to play the game, $15.99 on Steam, and you'll have your few hours of fun and spookiness, and that's it. So that's where I would look at that. So I would think in terms of our rating, I would say this is inflated.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out. But you could probably get it for a better deal. I mean, I would say you could skip on the VR, honestly, and just play it regular. So yeah, I'll agree with that.
Sounds good. All right, so episode 259 coming. God, episodes 300 is going to be here before we know it. So episode 259, I think Maybe we play some Mario Wonder.
Ooh, I wonder what that'll be like.
Yeah, it'll be November. We can't say Nestember because it's already been coined by Premium Edition Games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. And there's no elephant jokes I can consider right now to be able to do that either for, November. But either way, I think that's what we play. I think we'll have some fun with that one.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Well, this has been episode 259 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening. Actually, I just realized it's episode 258, isn't it? This has been episode 258. Have a good one.